Hey everyone, welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this little mini episode today, it's going to be a little solo episode. I'm going to talk about the Scump retirement, the kind of shocking, random, middle of the day news that came out about Scump's retirement. Give my thoughts, give a little bit of a tribute to him, and just do a few minute episode here. Just tell a couple stories about Scump and a little tribute to him in honor of his retirement today. Brock's going to give his thoughts on the next podcast. He's a little busy tonight, so he'll be on like usual next Monday to give his thoughts. If you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you guys are here listening to this because you want to hear some more positive stuff about Scump and some other stories that people want to tell and share about him on his retirement. Our normal episodes drop on Monday, so that's when the podcast is normally coming out. If you guys want to tune in and hear Brock and I and my co-host thoughts on the CDL in general, every Monday we do talks about matches, predictions, and the news in the CDL, and upload weekly, and it's fun time. We have really enjoyed it. We're just approaching 900 subs, so if you guys are listening to this and want to show some support and show your support for Scump on Twitter, go shout him out, tell him your best moment. So I'd really appreciate if you guys did that. But let's dive right into it. I wanted to get on here and talk a bit about Scump today. Obviously, for you guys that have been listening to the podcast for a while, through when I was solo to when we were doing it with Kyle to now doing it with Brock, I think I told this story quite a while back, but haven't told it in a long time, and it's just something that I want to do to kind of honor Scump today. So originally, like when playing games, the first way I got kind of addicted to games and like really liked playing video games was actually like, I played like GameCube, like street football and stuff with my dad, nothing crazy. And then randomly, I went over to my cousin's house that I'm very close with, and he was playing Halo 3 at the time, and I was like, this game's pretty cool, and I 1v1'd him on, it was Pit Stop, I believe, on Halo 3, and he beat me like 25-0 or 25-1, and I was like, wow, I want to get better at this. Like, I can't ever let him embarrass me like that again. My older cousin just embarrassing me on Halo, so I think like the next day or that next weekend, I was pretty young, probably like 10 years old or whatever. I had money saved up, and I'm like, Dad, I want to go buy an Xbox 360 at GameStop. So my dad, being the great dad that he was, took me to GameStop, bought that Xbox 360 with me. I bought Halo 3, started playing that. And then randomly, maybe a few years later during like Black Ops 2, I just happened to be homesick from school one day or something. And I was just like, what do I do? You're 10 years old, 12 years old, whatever you are, homesick from school. And I randomly looked up like Call of Duty. I wanted to watch like a Call of Duty video on YouTube, and I saw like Call of Duty Champs. I believe it was like OpTic versus Complexity or something. When Scump got his famous 3-piece round 11 on Aftermath, and I was like, it was after Champs had already happened, but I didn't know that. Like, I had no idea what this was. I was like, what is this? Call of Duty Championships? And they kept talking about on the video and on the stream how they were like playing for $1 million or like playing for a huge prize pool, and I was like, that's wild. Like, these guys are playing Call of Duty for $1 million, and I had no idea. Like, I think they're just pub stomping or something because I had no clue what competitive COD was. And I started watching it, and it happened to be OpTic playing, and like they won, and I was like, this Scump dude is so good. Like, he's awesome. And from there, I just kind of like became a fan of OpTic and competitive COD, and then I would just like go and I'd look up all the matches from the year, and I'd be watching all these matches, and like I really didn't even know OpTic was like the popular team at the time because like I was just getting into it, and they were the ones that had the videos up. Excuse me. So I was like, wow, this Scump dude's uploading, this Nade Shot dude's uploading, this Hecz guy is uploading. Let's just like watch all these videos, and from there, I kind of fell in love with competitive COD, and the rest is history. I started to play a lot more and watch a ton, and here we are, about 2+ years deep into doing the podcast, starting in MW, really with the CDL era, but been watching for a long time before that. So Scump and OpTic are really the ones on a random sick day from school in elementary school that got me into competitive COD, and super sad to see him retire. That's like the overwhelming, if you can hear it in my voice, it was an emotional video to watch too. Like, it's like when your favorite athlete retires, and I know a thing or two about my favorite athlete retiring in a shocking way, because for those of you that don't know, I'm a Colts fan. Andrew Luck, my favorite athlete of all time, obviously retired way more out of the blue than this, because like at least we knew this was Scump's last year. Andrew Luck was just randomly out of nowhere right before the season, and it's similar to that. Somebody that like I grew up not even just as a competitive fan, but like grew up watching his videos, and that's what got me into competitive COD. And now I mean I've spread more to just being a fan of the scene in general, because I just love competitive COD. So like I have my players I like, I like certain teams and stuff, but I just overall keep it pretty neutral and try to provide good analysis. But like still through it all, like you never forget that like Scump and OpTic are kind of the ones that got a lot of us, and especially me, into competitive Call of Duty and interested in it. So kind of wild to see him retire. Sad. Brock and I, along with a few of our other friends, planned to head to Champs this year, and we kept on talking about how like we got to see Scump/Champs because one of my friends that'd be going with us, it'll be his first event. Brock, thankfully, Brock's a way bigger Scump fan than I am, so you guys have to tune in next Monday on the podcast when Brock hops on to give his thoughts on the whole situation, because Brock's a much bigger Scump fan. Like getting into COD, like that was his guy. Especially like the jetpack era when he really started watching competitive more. Like Scump was Brock's guy, so you'll have to hear his thoughts on it. But yeah, it kind of sucks. Like my one friend won't be able to see Scump compete. We were planning to go to Champs, and it was going to be his last Champs and everything. And thankfully, I was able to go to BO4 Champs and the kickoff event for the CDL in Minnesota, as well as Major 2 last year in Vanguard in Minnesota. So got to see him play plenty of times. But just what a career, man. Shout out to Scump. The video was, yeah, like I said, it was a little bit of a tough watch because like he started breaking up and kind of like getting a little emotional. You know, you could hear the swelling up in his voice, and like, you know, the tears were coming, and Karma said he was crying. You could tell in the beginning Formal was pretty emotional. Shottzyy was bawling his eyes out. You could tell Hecz is pretty emotional. Just an emotional day. A very well done video though, because I like that it wasn't like overly edited. And they might not have had time because like they said it was like the 16th is what it said in the video. So last night, as I'm recording this, was probably when this meeting was and he announced this and made that video. But I kind of like it wasn't over edited. It was just from the heart, and it was cool to watch. So it sucks. I'm curious to see what the league looks like going forward, but I don't necessarily want to talk about that. Brock and I will maybe talk about that in the podcast. This is a day to honor Scump and to shout him out for all the hate he took on, as well as all the love he got. He certainly took on a lot of hate from people that were either OpTic haters or just like didn't like to see the big team win, like the most popular team. So he took a lot of hate on, and he carried the competitive scene. So shout out to him for doing that all these years. He put in a lot of work, not only being a top tier player, but being a great content creator, a good example to set for a lot of people that look up to him. So shout out to Scump. My overall thoughts on the situation. I am so sad. Like selfishly, I really wish he didn't retire, but obviously I can't hold him back and be like, no, he shouldn't have retired because I want to watch him. Like, no, that's not how it works. Man just basically said in the video, like he just didn't have the energy for it anymore, which it's a commitment. Like I also respect him because he could easily just like lie to his teammates and say he has the energy and give like 75%, and they'll probably never win because 75% for any player just probably isn't going to cut it with how competitive the league is. And, you know, he was willing and able to, you know, step down. And one thing that stood out in the video to me as well is when he said like, I'm falling down so you can, you know, rise up, is basically what he said, kind of paraphrasing there about Dashy coming back and joining the team. So just a great friend and a great teammate to the end, you know, building his guy Bruce Dashy up, and allowing him to, you know, come back onto the roster and take his spot, you know, realizing he maybe just didn't have the passion, and that could be a career changer for Dashy to get that extra chance here on OpTic. So shout out to Scump. Sorry if I kind of went a little long-winded here, but I wanted to just give my thoughts and, you know, praise Scump a little bit because he deserves it. The reason that this podcast really exists, for the few of you that listen, you know, we're approaching 900 subs, so we've got a little bit of a community going here, and just like this community really, I mean, I'll just straight up say this community wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for Scump, because I don't know that, you know, without his YouTube videos back in the day and just like seeing that random champs match against Complexity, I don't know if I ever would have, you know, been interested enough in competitive COD to, you know, make this podcast and want to have all you great people out there, whether it's like trolls in the comments or serious commenters, or it's a lot of things. Like I wouldn't have this medium to express my thoughts on the CDL with one of my best friends in the world, Brock, as well as I would have never met somebody like Kyle through this, because lives in a different state and don't know him personally like before this, but he happened to be a random commenter. He joined the podcast for a long time and then got a little busy with life, but you know, we have him on here and there when he gets time, and would have never been able to meet Kyle through that. And I feel extremely blessed that I was able to meet Kyle, because I still strongly feel that he propelled this podcast forward greatly. So shout out to Scump. I've said it a million times, but you're the GOAT. Great retirement video. I'm looking forward to seeing him in more content. Looking forward to, you know, seeing him at tournaments and stuff. And if I attend tournaments, hopefully meet him there and see him there. And just had a huge impact on me, as I'm sure many of you listening. So just go tweet at him if you haven't. Say, thank you, Scump. I see the hashtag here in front of me. Hashtag thank you, Scump is trending. So you guys go support Scump and, you know, tell him what kind of impact he had on you, because I'm sure, after all the random hate comments he might have got while competing and people kind of pissed at him, it'd be nice for him to, see those support comments once again and have some people shouting him out and thanking him. So that's all for this one. Maybe we'll talk, not maybe, we will for sure talk about Scump more with Brock on Monday in the podcast, but I just wanted to, get on the mic and just express some of my emotions seeing Scump retire. So I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, if you guys are new here and you don't actually listen to the podcast, it's your first time tuning into the channel, check us out. Listen to a couple of the podcasts. We'd appreciate the support. We're just, when I hit record on this, we're at 899 subs. So if we can get the support to get us to 900, that would be greatly appreciated. The next goal is 1,000. So I appreciate the support. Subscribe if you guys enjoyed. We'll see you on Monday with another podcast. Just had to get this short one out. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next podcast.